now at Australia's Sydney Met and win a scholarship of up to $15,000. Apply today.
Tonight on First at 9, this Thursday, the 4th of April 2024. SLFP chairmanship, interim injunction issued against former President Maithripala Sirisena from functioning as the SLFP chairman. Essential compliance. Sri Lanka will have to settle external loans at once if agreements with international creditors are violated, reminds President Ranil Wickremesinghe. No suspension. Sri Lanka has not suspended excise licenses. Parliament approved rules and regulations needed to proceed. Jana Savia, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa to revive a program similar to late President Premadasa's nationwide program to alleviate poverty.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දෙනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
This is Ada Derana First at 9 with Indivari Amuata and Mahesh Jani. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
A very good evening, everyone. Welcome to First at 9 in order to get your daily dose of the latest information here at home and all across the world. We have a lot of stories to bring to you tonight. A very good evening, Indivari.
Good evening, Mahesh. Good evening, and a very warm welcome to all of you joining us tonight on First at 9. We're here with a number of stories once again impacting Sri Lanka and the rest of the world. Of course, here at home, former President Maithripala Sirisena takes centre stage.
Drama.
Bulletin. Of course, two cases. One pertaining to his comments of knowledge on the Easter attack. Those who carried out the Easter attacks, and also a case that was filed against him operating as chairman of the party, Sri Lanka Freedom Party. So
apparently there is a lot of discord within the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. Former President Chandrika Bandana Kumarathunga is back in the foray. She has gone to courts and asking an order to be issued. I think it was issued by the court saying that this person can no longer function as the chairman of the SLFP.
And I think this move also gives us a hint of how any possible coalitions or future alliances between parties will be formed, especially going forward.
So the Sri Lanka Freedom Party here is actually struggling when you look at the events that are occurring in order to keep the base very much faithful to them, because as in the upcoming presidential election, I don't think they have a clear vision as to who would take the lead. But this is the party that created the first prime minister of our nation, the first president of our country. It's a historic party. Does this mean that
I think this applies also to the other parties today, especially. I mean, wondering where to go, what to tap.
Exactly.
And I think everyone's trying to figure out their place in the Sri Lankan political arena, and there will be more clarity in the next few weeks to come.
Do you think so? Clarity. Looking at politics, a lot of stories with regard to the Airbus purchase is back in the news. If you can remember, somewhere around during the Yapalne government, a lot of conversations were made with regard to Sri Lankan Airlines and the Airbus purchase. The Sri Lankan Airlines actually purchased A350s, which was the latest aircraft. What happened to them? A good question per se. We'll bring that story to you. So a lot of stories to bring to you tonight. So let's begin our bulletin. We begin our news with a story from our president himself. Now President Ranil Wickremesinghe states that it was possible to move forward with trust on the basis of the results that came about through hard and unpopular decisions made over the past 2 years.
He went on to state that it was the people of Sri Lanka who had endured hardships that contributed to the nation's economic advancement.
President Wickremesinghe further said that the rupee exchange rate against the US dollar is expected to be brought down to 280 rupees.
The International Gem and Jewellery Trade Centre, also known as the Ratnapura Gem Tower, was inaugurated in Ratnapura under the patronage of President Ranil Wickremesinghe this morning. The initial phase of the construction of the Ratnapura Gem Tower saw the completion of a 5-storey building costing 365 million rupees. The second phase entails the construction of an additional 14 floors with an estimated expenditure of 450 million rupees. The newly inaugurated International Gem Trade Centre comprises 27 business premises with 17 allocated to local entrepreneurs and 10 designated for their foreign counterparts. Financing for this venture is sourced from the National Gems and Jewellery Authority with the aim of establishing an international hub facilitating seamless transactions between sellers and buyers.
We are currently systematically reaching the measures of a successful economy at a pace which was not expected by the international community, thanks to President Ranil Wickremesinghe.
Media reports that debate on the economy has been requested for by Anukumara Dissanayake and Sajith Premadasa. I informed the President that the country's economy could have developed more if Sajith Premadasa had been the finance minister during his tenure as Prime Minister. 1,500 individuals who are offered jobs with a salary of 10,000 rupees are at home now. How will they develop the economy of the country if they are unable to develop the National Housing Development Authority? Those who are in hiding, alleging that it was impossible to revive that had collapsed, are now speaking up to develop the country's economy. They should have accepted the challenge of the country in 2022 and debated this then. Only now are they attempting to brandish these debates.
I carried the burden for 2 years amid hardships. I had to make hard decisions during those times. However, we are able to move forward with trust when evaluating the results. It was not me who made the change. It was the people who endured hardships. It was their lives that were plunged into difficulty. The rupee exchange rate against the dollar was at 361 rupees and 8 cents in July 2022. Today, it is at 300 rupees and 4 cents. We aim to drive it down to 280 rupees. We are yet to conclude the debt restructuring process. We have concluded discussions on domestic debt. We are still to arrive at agreements with the nations who extended loans. China entered a separate agreement through the Exim Bank. All other creditors are slated to arrive at agreements as a singular official creditor committee. However, we must be careful to maintain the position regardless of debates that transpire. If conditions are violated, these nations will request that all debts be immediately settled. This Sinhala and Tamil New Year, people will come into money either by way of good harvest, increased salaries or Aswasuma program. We have also generated revenue of unexpected levels through the tourism industry. Inflow of revenue through foreign employment will also see an increase. There was no electricity back then. 3 wheels had to be pushed along the road due to fuel shortages. However, today there is an uninterrupted supply of fuel that can facilitate easy travel for both local and foreigners. There are no issues now. 3-wheelers are able to transport passengers without any issue with stickers stating "Victory for Jatika Janabala Vegaya" pasted on 3-wheelers. This would not have been possible if we didn't take measures over the past 2 years. This is where the economy is at right now. We must protect it and move forward. We are still a top bridge and it is up to us to decide if we fall or not.
New Dulux Pentolite Hygiene Plus. Refreshing walls for generations.
The Colombo District Court issued an interim injunction preventing former President Maithripala Sirisena from functioning as chairman of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. The order was issued against former President Sirisena following a case filed by another former president.
That was the advisor to the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, President Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga, who did so on the basis of Sirisena's irresponsible discharge of duty having caused damage to the party. Now, the court order issued against Sirisena will be in effect until the 18th of this month.
This morning, a case filed by former President and advisor to the Sri Lanka Freedom Party Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga against former President Maithripala Sirisena was taken up for hearing before the Colombo District Court. The former president pointed out that the irresponsible discharge of duty by Sirisena, who functions as the chairman of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, has caused the damage to the party and thereby requested that the court issue an order preventing him from further functioning as chairman. Former President Kumaratunga noted that Maithripala Sirisena, who was the then Commander-in-Chief, neglected his duty in 2019 by failing to take measures to prevent the Easter Sunday attack that saw 269 fatalities, and added that the Supreme Court, as a result of finding him guilty, ordered him to pay 100 million rupees in compensation. The plaintiff was also of the view that Maithripala Sirisena violated the constitution in 2018 by removing the then Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and appointing another parliamentarian as the Prime Minister from a party that lacked a majority in Parliament. Further, former President Kumaratunga highlighted that following the conclusion of Sirisena's tenure as President, a new chairman has to be appointed to the party, as he will be appointed as an advisor per the party's constitution. However, she added that Sirisena is violating the party's constitution by holding on to the party's chairmanship. Taking these facts into consideration, the court issued an interim injunction preventing Sirisena from functioning as the party chairman, which will be in effect till the 18th of April.
When Maithripala Sirisena assumed leadership of this party, there were 140 parliamentarians. It has reduced to 2 members now. We had so many opportunities to build this alliance. However, it was the party chairman who said no to those opportunities, not us. None of the members in the alliance that we planned in forming wanted Sirisena as the leader.
Meanwhile, former President Sirisena, who also addressed the media, had this to say.
We have not received the court order yet. We only saw what was reported in the media. Despite challenges, we will continue to operate as SLFP members who are free of corruption and not a part of the government. Politics is something that changes with time. These were problems from back in the past. Yes, that is her attempt. That is why we are against it.
Well, more pertaining to the former president. Now, the case pertaining to former President Maithripala Sirisena's controversial statement on the mastermind of the Easter Sunday attacks was taken up for hearing before the Maliga Kanda Magistrates Court today.
During the case, Maliga Kanda Magistrate Lochani Abewikrama declined permission requested by the aggrieved party to obtain the statement issued by the former president to the CID on the basis of sensitivity of the content included therein. The case will be taken up for hearing again on the 10th of May.
Following former President Maithripala Sirisena's controversial revelation of his knowledge of the mastermind behind the Easter Sunday attacks, an order was issued by the Maliga Kanda Magistrate Court against him to appear before the court today. The order was issued on the 28th of March, a few days after the former president was grilled by the Criminal Investigation Department, or CID, for the same reason, upon a directive issued to Inspector General of Police Deshabandhu Tennakon by the Minister of Public Security. However, in a motion filed through his attorneys, the former president informed the court that there was no need for him to make a statement in court, as he had already provided one to the CID. As a result, the case was taken up for hearing this afternoon in absentia of Maithripala Sirisena. While highlighting that investigations are underway pertaining to the accuracy of Sirisena's statement, the CID requested that an order be given to gather evidence by investigating several phone numbers and CCTV footage cited by Sirisena during his statement. Attorney Rajitha Lakmal, who appeared on behalf of the aggrieved party, represented by Samagi Janabalvega MP Dr. Kavinda Jayawardena, who also lodged a complaint with the CID against the former president's statement, reminded the court that Sirisena was found guilty by the Supreme Court for violating the fundamental rights of the citizens due to his negligence to prevent the Easter Sunday attacks. Additionally, Sirisena affirmed that he was ready to make a statement if he was summoned to court, but however had subsequently changed his stance. The Maliga Kanda magistrate said the President's counsel Anuja Premaratne has relayed the former president's strong desire to appear before court but was later withdrawn on legal advice. The attorney for the aggrieved party once again reiterated that the statements made by Sirisena from time to time lead to controversy. He added that this statement can either be false or true, meaning that he is concealing the truth on purpose. Further, he went on to say that per section 199 of the Penal Code, whoever knowing or having reason to believe that an offence has been committed intentionally omits to give any information respecting that offence which he is legally bound to give shall be punished with imprisonment of either description of a term which may extend to 6 months or a fine or with both. He also highlighted section 200 of the Penal Code, which states that whoever knowing or having reason to believe that an offence has been committed gives any information respecting that offence which he knows or believes to be false shall be punished with imprisonment of either description of a term which may extend to 2 years or with fine or with both. Attorney Sandeep Suryarachi, who appeared on behalf of the former president, said that his client's failure to provide a statement to the court will not hinder the investigations. Even though the aggrieved party requested permission to obtain the statement issued to the CID, Maliga Kanda magistrate Lochani Abe Wikrama declined permission on the basis of the sensitivity of the content included therein. Taking the facts presented before the court, the Maliga Kanda magistrate ordered the case to be taken up for hearing once again on the 10th of May.
Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa, meanwhile, revealed plans to execute an effective framework similar to late Ranasinghe Premadasa's Jana Savya program.
Now, speaking at the gathering, the opposition leader added that a proper mechanism should be in place to overcome the poverty levels of the country as it has alleviated the Sri Lanka at present.
A circular program to donate digital screens and computers required by schools was held at the Ahatugaswewa Mahavidyalaya in Valioya under the patronage of opposition leader Sajith Premadasa.
At present, the children of the farmers have lost their right to education. This is a fact. The interest rate granted to senior citizens has been reduced from 15% to nearly 6% presently. Politicians should be concerned about the impact posed on the lives of senior citizens as a result of the reduced interest rates. Currently, poverty levels in the country have elevated. A proper mechanism should be in place to overcome the challenge. As such, measures are underway to execute an effective framework similar to Ranasinghe Premadasa's Jana Savya program.
Leader of the National People's Power, Anurakkumara Dissanayake, extended an invitation to leaders of the North to unite with the NPP in establishing a new government. He went on to state that a government which lacks the support of the community in the North will not be able to take the country forward. The NPP leader further said that Sri Lanka and its governance must be changed.
The Northern Province Conference of the Ceylon Teachers Union was held in Jaffna under the patronage of the leader of the National People's Power, Anurakkumara Dissanayake.
We did not come to meet you to merely expect votes during a presidential election. We did not come to meet you with the intention of making a transaction. This country and its governance must be changed. The country must be driven into a new direction. Leaders that assumed power since independence always exercised divided politics. They followed a political strategy where the South and North separately gained victory. This is the type of politics which was followed by our previous leaders. However, this resulted in a war in our generation. It was the people of the North who were the greatest victims. The NPP expects to establish a country where the next generation will not have to face a war. You must have the right to deal with the state in your language. If you write a letter to a government office in Tamil, you should receive a response in Tamil. We will establish this. What are we going to do to our historic heritage? It must be preserved and protected for our future generations. However, what are we doing now? We are fighting over this politically. You should be able to confirm rights to your own lands. This is required to maintain national unity. We invite the leaders of the North to unite with us in establishing a government. We cannot take our country forward through a leadership which lacks the support of those in the North.
While commenting on the significant strides in education, President Ranil Wickremesinghe revealed that the government has initiated the recruitment of nearly 4,000 teachers in this year.
The President added that with the reinforcement of the economy, more funds are expected to be allocated to fill teaching vacancies by the year next.
Now, commenting further on plans to strengthen the rupee against the dollar, President Wickremesinghe unveiled plans to bring the dollar down to around 280 rupees in the future, bolstering the purchasing power of the people.
A ceremony to award letters of appointments to graduate teachers in the Western Province was held last evening at Temple Trees under the patronage of President Ranil Wickremesinghe.
Teachers are not just assuming control of a classroom, but they are entrusted with shaping the future of the students within it. They also hold a responsibility to instill character and virtue in their students other than following the syllabus. A total of 2,300 teachers were recruited today, with another 700 yet to be appointed. Plans are underway to hire 1,000 more teachers based on the existing vacancies. Accordingly, 4,000 teachers are expected to be recruited this year. This recruitment comes into effect after a span of 3 to 4 years following the COVID-19 pandemic and the economic crisis. Such initiatives had been halted due to lack of funds of the government, with no opportunities for funds to fulfill vacancies in 2022. However, if a substantial income is received, recruitment procedures can be conducted. Following discussions with the respective officials, the Secretary said that considerable revenue can be earned next year, with which the initial steps towards the recruitment of teachers can be taken. As a result, the recruitment of teachers and their salaries are the main point of concern. Last year, the rupee depreciated to 370 rupees against the dollar. We anticipated taking measures to strengthen the rupee against the dollar. As a result, today it stands at 300 rupees. I further envision this reduced to 280 rupees in the future, bolstering the purchasing power of the people. We are moving ahead in a challenging path while uplifting a nation which collapsed entirely. During this time, we were able to provide salary increments, increase allowances, triple Aswasuma benefits, and ensure fair price for agriculture products, particularly during the Sinhala and Tamil New Year season. These measures were required to uplift the economy.
Well, the SLFP Anuradhapura District Member of Parliament H. Nandasena passed away today at the age of 69. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court ordered IGP Deshpanda Thennakoon to appear before courts tomorrow to inquire into several fundamental rights petitions filed by a group of chief inspectors with respect towards transfers. Now, with that, here's a look at more news across the island in brief.
Anuradhapura District MP of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna Party, H. Nandasena, passed away this morning due to a sudden illness at the age of 69. He contested the 2020 parliamentary election as a candidate of the Sri Lanka People's Freedom Alliance and was elected to the Parliament of Sri Lanka. Meanwhile, in a later development, it was reported that Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna's Veerasena Gamage is tipped to fill the parliamentary seat left vacant following the passing of MP Nandasena. Meanwhile, Inspector General of Police Deshabandhu Thennakoon is expected to appear before the courts tomorrow following order by the Supreme Court. The police chief is being summoned to inquire into several fundamental rights petitions filed by a group of chief inspectors with respect to transfers. The summons were issued by a 3-member bench presided over by Chief Justice Jayantha Jayasuriya. In other local news, actress Damita Aberatna and her husband were arrested by the Criminal Investigation Department today over an allegation of financial fraud. The Computer Crimes Division of the CID initiated investigations into the alleged defraud of 3 million rupees by the couple on the promise of employment in South Korea. Subsequently, the CID informed the court that Aberatna and her husband would be named as suspects of the relevant case.
Welcome back. A national tree planting program commenced at the TV Derana head office premises this morning.
Now, the auspicious time for tree planting during the Sinhala and Tamil New Year will take place on the 18th of April at 10:16 a.m. The Ministry of Agriculture has duly organized a program to provide healthy saplings for people to plant them at the auspicious time.
As such, the program commenced today under the patronage of Minister of Agriculture Mahinda Amaravira, who distributed saplings among the staff of TV Derana. In business news, Minister of Aviation Nimal Siripal Silva commenting on the allegations surrounding the acquisition of 4 aircraft for the national airline, stressed that the uninterrupted operations until the restructuring of Sri Lankan Airlines takes place is paramount. Speaking to media, Minister Nimal Siripal Silva said that the national carrier laden with complaints during the recent past due to delayed flights and continuous breakdown is another reason to obtain the aircraft, as the airline plans to increase its fleet to minimize the recurring issues.
Approval was granted to the Minister of Aviation to award the contract of obtaining 4 wide-body aircrafts on monitoring lease facility along with an additional aircraft. As such, contracts relevant to obtaining 2 aircrafts from Oryx Aviation for a monthly lease of $360,000 for a period of 6 years, and contracts relevant to obtaining 2 aircrafts from Ergo Capital Limited for a monthly lease of $365,000 for a period of 8 years had been approved. However, Sri Lankan Airlines, that is currently being subject to a restructure, being given approval to obtain aircrafts, were queried by many parties.
Sri Lankan Airlines came under fire recently over delayed flights and recurring breakdowns. The main reason for that was the insufficient airplanes in our fleet, which had about 23 airplanes but was reduced to about 14 due to the breakdowns. The main reason for that was the insufficient airplanes in our fleet, which had about 23 airplanes but was reduced to about 14 due to breakdowns. Therefore, while we were in the restructure process, we took measures to lease 4 aircrafts because we had to continue airline operations. People are asking why we are leasing airplanes if we are on the cusp of restructuring the carrier. It is not like we are going to complete the acquisition within a day. We have to continue operations until we restructure.
Well, State Minister of Finance Ranjit Siamalapitiya stated that no decision has been taken pertaining to the suspension of the issuance of excise licenses. He went on to state that the Excise Department confirmed that a court order which was issued in this regard emphasizes that rules and regulations approved in Parliament must be followed when issuing excise licenses. Now, the State Minister added that this is already being followed when these licenses, and highlighted that measures must be taken in situations where relevant rules are violated in the process.
According to my knowledge, the issuance of excise licenses is done systematically. When an individual applies, it is issued by adhering to rules and regulations approved by Parliament, and also by calling for objections and considering objections of the residents in that particular area. However, I question the news that you mentioned. The Excise Department reported that the court had mentioned that license must be issued by adhering to rules and regulations approved by Parliament. This isn't an order which was issued to suspend the issuance of licenses. Rather, it was to ensure that relevant rules and regulations were being followed. We are already following the procedure. Steps were also taken to address situations where these rules are violated. There is no suspension of excise license issuance. I was informed in written that the court order was provided to ensure that rules and regulations approved by Parliament are followed when issuing excise licenses.
Well, taking to the Colombo Stock Exchange, the bourse closed in positive territory today, aided by gains in financial stocks. The Colombo Stock Exchange benchmark index, the ASPI, climbed 0.63%, settling at 11,698.49. Ceylon Beverage Holdings PLC and Commercial Bank of Ceylon PLC were the top gainers on the index, up 14.8% and 3.1% respectively. Trading volume on the index rose to 73.1 million shares from 63.6 million in the previous session. The more liquid S&P SL 20 index meanwhile climbed 1.3% to end trading at 3,437.32. Turnover rose to 3.17 billion rupees from 2.12 billion in the last session. The banking sector was the top contributor to turnover today, while the food, beverage and tobacco sector was the second highest contributor to equity market turnover. Foreign investors were net sellers, offloading stocks worth 403.9 million, while domestic investors were net buyers, purchasing shares worth 2.9 billion rupees. Well, the Sri Lankan rupee closed stronger at 299.70 to 299.80 against the greenback. We'll see how the rupee traded against other major currencies during the day.
Well, in corporate news, issuing its annual report for 2023, Chief Executive Officer of Cargill's Bank, Senrat Bandara, added that the company aims to accelerate the positive trajectory it has enjoyed in the coming years and highlighted that the company will focus on expanding its customer base. Meanwhile, Commercial Bank PLC was voted the People's Private Bank of the Year for the second consecutive time at the recently held Slim Kanta People's Awards of 2024. With that, here's a look at more corporate news in brief.
In its annual report for 2023, Chief Executive Officer of the Cargill's Bank, Senrat Bandara, expressed his views on the performance of the company during the preceding year and revealed plans to accelerate the positive trajectory it enjoyed in the coming years. He further highlighted that the company will focus on expanding its customer base, fostering inclusivity, and reaching a broader customer segment. In the 2023 annual report, the CEO of Cargill's Bank said that plans are underway to increase the proportion of current account and savings account deposits, as these provide the base for the stable and low-cost funding of company operations. In the meantime, Commercial Bank was voted the People's Private Bank of the Year for the second consecutive time at the recently held Slim Kanta People's Awards 2024. The title was presented to the bank by the Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing on the basis of the results of an annual survey to determine the country's preferred brands in multiple categories. In addition, Commercial Bank added that it ensures it stays inclusive in all communications through multilingual advertising. In other corporate news, Kotmale Holdings PLC announced the appointment of 2 directors to the company. Accordingly, C.I. Malwatha and Dr. D.N. Veerakon were appointed to the position of independent non-executive directors of the company with effect from the 3rd of April. In its corporate disclosure, the company stated that both newly appointed directors do not have any relevant interest in shares of the company as at the date of appointment.
And that wraps up tonight's edition of First at 9. I'm Indivari Amwatha.
I'm Mahesh Johnny. Thank you for watching. Good night.